What's up, everybody? It's Keisha from Put Your Phone Down podcast, and I am in here for a treat. Okay, everybody knows me who knows me personally. I don't really know a whole lot about sports. I'm more of a boxing type of chick, and then after that, the TV is just on. But of course, I'm looking around, to just bring more people on the platform who can educate me. We can have a good conversation. And I didn't have to look any further. I have found Robert Littal. And let me tell you who this man is. He is all over the place. You Google him and he's been talking to all type of celebrities, basketball, wrestling. He covers it all, WNBA. And we're going to bring that here tonight to cover all of this. He is the editor in chief and founder of Black Sports Online. This is his logo in the background. I encourage you all to check out his platforms and his YouTube page, but we go get on that a little bit later. We have Robert Littal on Put Your Phone Down podcast. What's up, Robert?
I've been on a lot of podcasts, but put your phone down. Yeah, now we talking my language. Now we're talking my type of language. I like to speak to our people. It's one of the reasons I started Black Sports Online. The fact that you would have me on is an honor. I really appreciate it. Anytime I have the opportunity to speak about sports, entertainment, to someone like yourself in the game that's making big moves, anything that I can do to help, I consider that I'm very appreciative for any opportunities for someone like yourself to give to me. So thank you very much.
Look, see, I told you about my smiling. Now I can't even stop at this point. I can't stop. So I wanted to get straight into the hottest thing that people talking about in sports now. The ladies are taking over, but it's a few things that I wanted to bring to the attention. WNBA was founded around 96, 97, right? And it was a lot of empty seats at that time. People was questioning, including women, what are they doing out there on the court? They were not filling the seats. They really wasn't getting any TV time. They was a butt of jokes for many, many, many years. Nobody was talking about the WNBA, and we had some talented ladies on the court. Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, a few more. And I just mentioned to you, Jackie Young, who I Googled, was at that time the highest paid WNBA player. So I found something on your YouTube page, and this is what I wanted to bring to people's attention. And now we can talk about these new young ladies coming in. They out there on the court, they getting a little beat up. Some people are saying, hey, take it easy on them. They just some babies. Is other people that's like, look, this is what they signed up for. I found this on the courtesy of your YouTube page, and I want to kind of go into this first before we can talk about the new ladies out here on the WNBA.
This is a good thing. You know why? Because now the WNBA is being treated equally. It's about equality. We're talking about gender equality. They're being treated just the same as the NBA, as the NFL, MLB, MMA, the boxing. All that stuff is toxic on social media. The ladies should be happy. You're being treated the same as we would treat Kyrie Irving.
So in that clip, you said getting treated just the same. Equality. All of that I agree with, but we have to start with what these young ladies are coming into. Young ladies like Angela Reese, her name is all over the place now. And although she's good, you do have some people that's on that court who are better, and they beating them down. What's your opinion about these young ladies that's coming in? And although they giving the WNBA the spotlight, it was still some ladies that were before them. Their names were not mentioned in any rooms, but now this is happening. So on one end is good because now you have WNBA and everybody talking about it, including myself. But then you have your ones that have been watching since it came out, 96, 97, been fans. and they kind of feel some kind of way. Go
Yeah,
ahead and take the floor with this.
yeah, it's interesting. When the WNBA first started, they had a groundswell of people that were interested in the sport because it was new. Anytime you introduce something new to the audience, people are going to watch. But like you said, over a period of time, it became, what we would call a niche sport. A sport that only a certain amount of people, watched. Only a certain amount of people came to the game. Something that was seen as secondary by the television networks and sports media in general. Several reasons, for that. The majority of the fans have always been men for the WNBA. So they haven't had the amount of women viewers that they thought they would have over the years. And men obviously prefer the NBA game over the WNBA game. So what happens is you have this middle part of their existence to where they're there, but they're not getting the love that a lot of people think that they should, be getting. And that starts to change as we hit the 20s. When the pandemic hits, more people at home are just looking for things to watch. You start to see a gradual increase, in ratings, a gradual increase in interest, a gradual increase in social media. The players themselves are now becoming a little bit more sociable, a little bit more interesting to the viewer. And then that's when Caitlin Clark comes along. When Caitlin Clark comes along, the real main thing that made her different, so to speak, is she played basketball like the NBA plays basketball. And what I mean by that is the WNBA has always been, because, they're not dunking, they're not jamming, they play from the inside out. It's very physical. It's very an inside game. It's very much a physical game. But the NBA, if you watch the NBA now, what do you see? See 1,000 3-pointers. You see Steph Curry, who was becoming the face of the NBA with LeBron and others. You see Damian Lillard. You see game winners, and they always these jump shots and these guys shooting from the logo. And then you have this white girl from Iowa who shoots like Steph. They've never seen it before. They never saw a woman shoot a 30-foot three before and just pull up from the logo. So all of a sudden you get this new interest from people that say, hey, this is different than what I've known about women's basketball my entire life. And that just kind of bubbles and grows and is growing and is growing. And then that's when Angel Reese and LSU come into the situation, because one person is one person. You need two people for a party. Let's put it like that. One person can be fine alone, but two people make it a party. You bring Angel Reese in, and Angel Reese has a different type of personality, a different type of game, a different type of audience that watches her, and you mix that together with what the audience that Caitlin Clark is, and then it's boom, it explodes. And it explodes to the point that it goes from just being a niche sport to now it's mainstream. Well, when you're dealing with mainstream and mainstream media and fans, there's a portion of those fans and media that, or from the media standpoint, they just care about engagement. They just care about drama. They just care about hot takes. They just care about ratings. So they're going to mix it up. They're going to start trouble. They're going to stir the pot. And then you have a subsection of fans that, if not for social media, no one would ever know who they were, because they're faceless. They're behind avatars that don't have any picture. Nobody knows who they are. They probably work at Taco Bell, but they can get on Twitter, or they can get on Facebook, or they can get on TikTok and say something really mean to Angel Reese and get 1,000 people interacting with them. They can say something really mean to Caitlin Clark and get 2,000 people interacting with them. More people than ever interacted with them in their real life. And that's a part of a toxic fan base that all sports have to deal with. And I think the WNBA, one of the issues is the gatekeepers, or the ones that have been watching, they're not ready for that type of attention. And it frustrates them that people are giving so much attention to Caitlin Clark, because it's just like anything else. You hold something tight to you, and then when it gets exposed to everybody else, you feel like they're taking it away from you. And I think a portion of that audience that's been there from the beginning, that was like, I was there when only 5 people was watching, I was one of the 5, feels like their voice is being lost.
And you know what? I don't know to disagree with that or not. I mean, no, because you walking me through this, as you know. But everything you said, I feel is to be truth. There was some jokes right there. It is true. You know, for the ones that have been in the grain, they know all about the WNBA. They follow them. Some of them went to the games, never missed it. Now all of a sudden, everybody want to be a part of it, including like I said, somebody like me who has turned the channel every chance I got whenever I saw WNBA. I had to be one of the ones that didn't take it seriously. And I did not think it had any lasting power. I just was like, oh, okay, you know, it'll be in and out. And that might sound weird to hear a woman say that, but you know, you grow up watching men playing all the time. It's kind of like something that, you know, I grew used to. So when I seen these women playing, I really didn't think that we will be talking about it now in 2024 and other platforms that have taken it by storm, you know. So are these the only two young ladies that should be getting their names out when it comes to the WNBA? I'm sure it's probably more talented ones out there.
Yeah, well, the way I always try to explain it to people who are rational is that if you like somebody, right? Let's say you like Kendrick Lamar, right? Okay. So and that's who you like. You just like Kendrick Lamar. You just love you some Kendrick Lamar. And Kendrick Lamar has a concert. So of course you're going to go to the concert, right? Because you love Kendrick Lamar, right? And you get to the concert and you get there early because you know you want to make sure you're in your seat, got your food and everything. But the opener for the concert is, you know, another rapper that you have never heard of, right? But
Right.
you're there early already because you're there for Kendrick Lamar. But this rapper or this singer that's opening for Kendrick Lamar, you like, it's not bad. It's not bad. And now all of a sudden you're like, well, who is this guy? Who's this girl? I'm gonna, you know, check her out. You may be on your phone, maybe you look. Now all of a sudden you were a Kendrick Lamar fan, but because you were exposed to this other person, now you may become a fan of them. So when you look at Caitlin Clark and you look at Angel Reese, yeah, you might not have known Asia Wilson before this year. You might not have known Kelsey Plum. You know, you might not have known Trinity Carter. You know, you might not have known Sabrina and some of these other players, right? But when you watching for Caitlin Clark, just by proxy, you're gonna be like, well, that girl is pretty good. Oh man, she's pretty nice. Oh my goodness, she put up 30 and 10. Now all of a sudden in the back of your brain, when you hear the name, oh, Asia Wilson's playing. Well, she's not playing Caitlin Clark, but I remember she put up 30 and 10. I'm not doing anything. Let me watch that. You see what I'm saying? I think that's the problem with a lot of people is that they don't want to admit that Caitlin Clark is the driving force and Angel Reese to a lesser, you know, extent, but to an extent. But because the eyes are now on the product, the women that should have been getting a lot of the exposure, a lot of the name recognition, all of a sudden, more people know them. And I give you just a quick example of this. Last year, Asia Wilson, when they did the All-Star game voting, the first wave, she had 30,000 votes. And she was number one with 30,000 votes. This year, because Caitlin Clark and all these other, she has 217,000 votes. Still number one. But how do you go from 40,000 people voting for you for the All-Star game to over 200,000? Well, clearly, more people, because they are interested in Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and other stuff that's going on. I don't care what, if you are watching something, you're going to find out who's the best person. If I'm watching soccer and for whoever, I'm going to find out who's the best person on France. Maybe I'm watching for the USA, but I want to know who the best person on France is or who the best person on England is. So it doesn't matter if you're watching the sport. If you're watching the sport, you're like, oh, I like Caitlin Clark, but Asia Wilson is the best player. So let me go watch her. And so I don't think it's a problem. I think some people just don't like to admit that you could be the most popular without being the best player. And that goes for all sports, because there are a lot of players that are popular, but that aren't necessarily good. I mean, Patrick Beverly is probably more popular than a lot of NBA guards, but he's probably not a top 20. He's probably more popular. More people probably know Patrick Beverly than say Jamal Murray, but Jamal Murray is 10 times the player that he is. So I think it's a good thing. And I think real fans, the ones that are like rational, actually interested, the ones that don't want to cause any problems, the ones that aren't on social media because their real life is better than their social media life, are showing that they have an appreciation now for these other ladies, even if they were initially brought in by Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese or Cameron Brink or any of the new girls.
I wanted to go back to the video that I played with you, and just basically saying how equal all of this stuff is. These girls is out there getting their ass handed to them, like if they getting it, do you think that they might be a little harder on them on the court because, it might be some ego involved, or, because like you said, there's some people who was there before Caitlin, and they kind of like, okay, well, if you on my team, or if I'm against you, I'm gonna let you remember. It's kind of like in Love and Basketball, when in high school, Monica, I curse on this one since we talking sports, Monica was the shit, but as soon as she got out there and flexed her muscle, they handed it to her. Do you think this is what's happening to these girls now? They pretty much are targeted. So what's your opinion about that?
It's an unusual situation, and I'll tell you why. In general, in all sports, the rookie or the young person is going to get tested. I mean, that's just, you got to learn that you can go through the fire. And that's been in sports forever. The freshman, the rookie, the guy that got traded, that's trying to take your job, you're going to get, tested. And with all the attention on Caitlin Clark, I'm sure a lot of those ladies were like, I'm better than her, and I'm going to show her, and I'm going to test her. I'm going to see if she is what she says she is. And let's be honest, Black people in general, we don't really take this from anybody. So, we're going to, you really think some Black women that play basketball, so these are not, like you said, dainty, women. You think Black women that play basketball and been playing for a very low salary, it's just gonna let a white girl with a ponytail from Iowa just come in and just do whatever she want to do? Absolutely not. With that being said, I do feel like you just want to make sure that you're not intentionally trying to hurt her, because if she leaves, those eyes leave, and if those eyes leave, that money leaves, that attention leaves. Things like that. And play hard, play tough, try to stop her, try to lock up, try to showcase your skills. But I would not intentionally be trying to demean or downgrade her, because the higher she goes, the higher you go. So if I was a player, yeah, I'd be like, okay, I'm playing Caitlin Clark. I'm going to lock her up. I'm going to get 20 and 10 so everybody sees me. But as soon as the game's over, I'm going to be like, she's great. She's a competitor. Why? Because Caitlin Clark is the reason that instead of 3,000 people at the arena just saw me put up 20 points, 17,000 people just saw me. Caitlin Clark's the reason why instead of 300,000 people saw me on TV just put up 20, 1.2 million people saw me. And out of those 1.2 million or that 17,000, there could be somebody that was like, that girl is good. That other girl is good. Maybe we should give her a Subway commercial. Maybe we should give her some sneakers. Maybe we should watch her a little bit more. So that's changing my financial situation. So I have no problem with playing hard and showcasing your skills and making sure that, you're just not going to let her go off against you. But on the flip side, from a business perspective, I think you want to make sure that you are also lifting her up. I don't care if she had 5 turnovers and you want to lift her up, because right now she is the reason why we're even talking about this right now. Because if not, we would never lead a podcast with the WNBA. I would never do a video about the WNBA. I would never do any of that, because in the end, we're all business people and we talk about what people want to hear. And nobody wanted to hear about the WNBA until Caitlin Clark got there.
That's true. And for the young ladies that's on the rise, I know one young lady been playing college basketball. Kennedy Perkins, I want people to actually keep their eyes out for her. She is definitely out there making it happen. So I want to move on to the NBA, and it's something that I wanted to talk about that I seen that Colin Cowherd, he has a podcast out. He made a comment about Michael Jordan, and this was probably like a few weeks ago. And I'm just going to paraphrase. It's not going to be a complete quote by him, but I wanted your opinion about this because Michael Jordan is one of those athletes that can be debatable. Usually, if somebody says he wasn't that great, the room get quiet, and sometimes it turns out into a fist fight. But people really are entitled to have their opinions without, causing controversy. It was some greats before Michael Jordan, and it's some greats that's kind of easing their way up. But what Colin Cowherd said was he tried baseball, failed, owned the Wizards, failed. To take out Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson, and the whole Michael Jordan mythology is sort of just that. So in that quote, he pretty much was like, okay, he's a basic guy, but he had help to get to this Michael Jordan who got the shoes and the endorsements. What do you think about that phrase, that quote that Colin Cowherd made?
Well, I think it's ridiculous, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you why. Because if we're just talking about basketball, right? What does baseball have to do with that? What does him not being a good GM, not a good owner, or what? None of that has to do with what happened, on the court. So I think that's just kind of just noise. If you take someone like LeBron, we don't. What if LeBron owns a team in say 10 years? He's talked about that. What if LeBron owns a Las Vegas expansion team and they're terrible for 10 years? Does that mean he wasn't a great, player when he played? So I think a lot of times with great players, as time goes by, younger people have their own opinions on who is the best of all time. And here's the thing I never really understood about that. My opinion is my opinion, right? Who I feel is who I feel. What you feel is what you feel. So if a kid told me today that LeBron James was his GOAT, I'd be like, okay. And it wouldn't bother me at all. I wouldn't go into a 10-minute diatribe about why I think Michael Jordan, would be his GOAT. Or my GOAT. I think what revisionist history in trying to tear down accomplishments is a social media thing, to me. Michael Jordan, won 6 titles. And yeah, of course he had Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson. Well, Kobe had Shaq. Shaq had Kobe. If LeBron didn't have Kyrie Irving, what would he have been then? If LeBron didn't have Anthony Davis, what would it have been? If he didn't have Dwayne Wade and hell, what happened if you don't have Ray Allen?
Right.
Right? So any championship, the star player is going to have people around him that made sure that he won that championship. Jason Tatum just didn't win that championship. Jaylen Brown just didn't win that championship. They needed, each other. That's just how it works. I think when you're talking about LeBron specifically, which is most people are talking about, and you're talking about Michael Jordan, it's just a quality quantity, type of thing. Michael Jordan in a shorter period of time accomplished a lot. 6-0 in finals, 13 years in the league, never went to a game 7 in finals. And then there is a mythical aspect of him because of the way he changed the game. But I guarantee you in 20 years, when we're talking about LeBron and I have more gray hair, people are going to be like, this man had 45,000 points. This man played for 23 years. He went to 10 finals. It'll be the same thing. He'll become mythical. Just, unfortunately, Kobe got there faster because, unfortunately, what happened to him. But even now, it's mythical. Because that's what we do to our heroes as time goes by. A lot of, if you talk to some people, Michael Jordan never lost because the myth becomes that. But when I think Colin Cowherd and others understand, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, when you have a discussion about the greatest, people are good. It's like having a list about the best rapper or the list about the best boxer. Oh, could Mike Tyson beat Muhammad Ali? Anytime you put stuff like that together, people are going to listen, people are going to watch, people are going to engage, and Colin Cowherd is going to go home with more money in his pocket and not even think about what he said that day, because all he was trying to do was just make sure that he got the ratings up, so he could have another 100,000 when he goes into negotiations. That's all that is.
And we sitting here talking about it, so his
Right.
mission was definitely accomplished. I thought it was pretty genius, because that really does start a conversation, And I know you mentioned LeBron James. I want to get off topic just a little bit. Do you think his son is ready for the NBA, or do you think he just like playing basketball? He want to do his own thing.
Well, it's black nepotism, so I'm all for that. If his name was, Bronny Sims, he wouldn't probably be drafted. He probably would still be in college, but he has advantages that other kids, don't have, with his father being LeBron James and the agent Rich Paul being so connected within the NBA. I'll say this about Bronny. Well, I say this about any young kid who's going to have an opportunity to go to the NBA. You only get the opportunity. What you do with that is really on you. So it's not for us to say if he's ready, if he's not ready, is he going to do this? The situation, the facts are he's going to get an opportunity. And all you can do with an opportunity is the best that you can do. His daddy ain't going to be able to help him, just like Caitlin Clark. Daddy ain't going to be able to help him when he's on the court. And he's staring across from Steph Curry, or he's staring across from Damian Lillard, or he's staring across from Jalen Brunson. Daddy not going to be able to help you then. So if he works hard, if he works on his craft, if he understands what he's good at, if he takes advantage of his opportunities, Godspeed to him. Because, I like I said, I'm very strong on the fact that Black people, unfortunately, because of the way society is, we don't have a lot of generational wealth. We're not put in a lot of positions of power. So our kids, unlike other kids, don't get to start with any type of advantages. Which a lot of white kids do. There's no $100,000 trust fund for us when we get out of college. There's no house to pass down. There's no vehicle for us to drive to and from work. There's no will for us leaving us any property and things of that nature. So I'm rooting for him, because we need more of that, because then maybe he give his kids an opportunity. Maybe not even an opportunity in sports. It could be an opportunity in business or management or acting or whatever, it may be. Like I said, I when someone's drafted at that point, I'm like, I want them all to be all-stars. I've never been one of those guys like, he's going to be a bust. He's going to be terrible. Or my wish is, I can say, I don't think he's maybe that great for that team. I don't think he's drafted a little too. But the day that they get their name called, I've always been, I wish they're the best player that they could possibly be, make as much money as they can, do as best as they can, because that's exactly what I would want for my kid if that happened.
And give him his own name, not so much pressure. We know who his dad is, but coming in on that court, I want him to be his own person. So if he doesn't do so well, let's say the first season, I don't want people to just throw this baby's name, to the dirt, because of who his father is. His father had to bring it up a notch too, so while we're on,
it's a gift and a curse, because his name is LeBron James Jr. He's going to be able to get indoors that 99.9% of people that look like him would never be able to get into. But that's also 99% of the attention that most of us would never get. And that's difficult for a 19-year-old of any race or color or creed to handle. So, but with that said, I'd rather be LeBron James Jr. and my dad worth $1 billion than, LeBron Sims and don't know my dad. You know what I mean? Things like that. So when you look at it like that, it's definitely some challenges with that. But he seems like he has a level, head. I know his mom seems very level-headed and down to earth. He has a good family, structure. I think he's going to be okay.
So I got a few more questions for you. A few more. Since we own basketball, who do you think is the most slept on basketball player out here? The ones that's out there doing the damn thing, but they don't have the endorsements, and nobody is saying their names, but they are out there killing it.
That's a good question because you hear the same names over and over and over again. Um, the one that comes to mind for me is Jamal Murray for the Nuggets. Never been an All-Star, never been on an All NBA team. Did win a championship the previous year. There's no one scary in the NBA with the game on the line with like the last 5 seconds. But because he's in Denver, because their star players is Jokic, who doesn't get a lot of things, I think he's a little, underrated. I think Austin Reeves is a little underrated with the Lakers. It's hard playing, like you just said, behind LeBron and others. I would have said Jalen Brunson, but he blew up, kind of this postseason. I'm glad people are able to see what type of player he is. Josh Hart is another one that I think is a really, really good player. There's a kid down in Orlando who's the number 1 pick, Pablo. He's a really good player. And I think those are some that just off the top of my head. And the good thing about the NBA is that if you play well, eventually you're going to get that opportunity for that spotlight. Like, like a Halliburton, like with the Pacers, was kind of overlooked. But then, as the season went by and the playoffs, now say, man, we all know Tyrese, Halliburton now. So that's what they want for the WNBA, that people that you may not even have noticed before, but now that they have that spotlight on them, they'll be able to make it a little bit of a name of themselves.
See, I like that. I do like that there's always time and room to grow with that particular sport. You can see somebody that's been on a team for 10 years and then all of a sudden they come up as explosive and you don't even realize they've been on a team that long. You think that they knew, but they just been out there in the trenches.
Yeah, like someone like Derek White from the Celtics. Been on a few teams, bounced around a little bit. And then you see him in the NBA Finals, and you're like, whoa, this guy's blocking shots of 7-footers, hitting threes. Like, this guy's what? And if you're a casual fan, of course, if you're an NBA fan, you always knew. But if you're a casual fan, you're like, where have I been? I've never seen this, guy before. And he's making game-winning, plays. And I think the NBA does a good job of making sure those guys get recognition.
Yeah, I told you earlier, I think, me personally, I'm telling my age, but that's okay. I always looked at Steve Nash, and I told you, I don't know if it was because 1 minute I was seeing him on one team, and the next minute he was on the other, but he would be out there dripping with sweat, just all engulfed in basketball. But this man never really got that much mention. When it came to certain things, even now, you really don't hear his name come up. But from what I read, he was an outstanding point guard, in everything that he did. And, I think when I watch basketball or either I have tuned in, I've always seen him out there running back and forth, just dripping with sweat, but nobody really paid attention to him, So here is my last question for you. Mike Tyson got a fight coming up with Jake Paul. Did I say his name right?
Jake Paul.
I did it without looking at my notes. Jake Paul is in his 20s. I believe he's 27. By the time this fight airs, which will be in November, I believe if they don't push it back again, Mike Tyson will be 58. Now, I remember seeing Mike Tyson at his prime, and people will go ahead and pay for pay-per-view and be pissed because the knockout would be like in a few minutes, This man is in his 50s now, and he still looked like he got it. I think his last fight was in 05, where he got knocked out, TKO by, let me look at my notes real quick. Okay, you help me? By Kevin McBride.
Yeah, a long time ago, huh?
Yeah. So what's your opinion about this upcoming? Now, boxing, that's my thing. I like it. Do you think Mike still got it? You got an age difference. And the young man used to actually be a UFC player. So what's your take on this?
I don't particularly care for it, to be honest with you, because, Mike, being around boxing, for a while, I've seen Mike numerous times, probably over the last, 4 or 5 years. I'm not saying he's in bad health, But he's in health what you would expect a 58 or 57-year-old guy that lived a pretty fast life, for a long period of time, and it's not great. And I hope that the fight in and of itself is not something that puts his health at risk. They already had to postpone it once. Like I literally see Mike have to be rolled around in wheelchair out of airports and stuff because of some of his health issue. I mean, it's interesting, of course, because anytime Mike Tyson is involved with anything, people are going to watch. And obviously, there's a lot of money that's involved as well. But I am a little concerned about it.
So we have covered a lot in a little time, and I really want to thank you. I think we went about 5-6 minutes over. I'm excited about it, but I agree with you. I'm kind of closer in age with Mike, so look, my knees and elbows be hurting. I just can't imagine him being out there trying to fight a few rounds. But we go send our best to Mike Tyson because at least he's representing. He's still out there trying to do his thing. Robert Littal. Oh my gosh. Okay, here I go with this smile, and I'm really trying to bring it down a notch. I really want to thank you. Like you really and truly are well versed in this sports atmosphere, and I couldn't have thought about a better person to bring this to the table. It's been such an honor. I want people to find you wherever you are. So this is your chance to let people know. For the ones that are watching this, if you look down at the ticker, you will see who I have, Robert Littal, again, editor-in-chief and founder of Black Sports Online, BSO for short. Robert, can you tell these people so you can get some new followers where you are and where they can find you?
The easiest way on a daily basis, if you want to talk to me, is on Twitter, or X, as they like to call it now, at BSO. But I'm also active on Instagram, BSO TV. Facebook is Black Sports Online. We answer a lot of comments there. The YouTube channel is BSO TV. The TikTok is Robert Littal, BSO TV. And then the site, of course, is blacksportsonline.com. I am the one in charge of all of those, so you're not speaking to somebody else, just in case I know people are wondering that you will see my smiling face on all of the stuff. So it's not a bot or anybody like that if you message me or ask a question or anything like that. I'm always kind of out and about, at events, at fights, at NBA games, NFL games, whatever I can get into, doing interviews, doing TV shows, do a little radio as well. I always put those updates on my Twitter feed, so you know where to find me and where you can listen in at. And just like I said, once again, I really appreciate you, having me on. I always like, when we are speaking to each other about issues, I feel like we come from it from a different perspective than a lot of media people that are out there. And it's very, very, very important. I can never stress enough in my years in this business that we help each other as much as we possibly can and not tear each other down, because there's so few of us in media, be it entertainment, be it sports, be it politics, that whatever beefs or personal things that we have against each other, let's handle those off on the side, but be solid together as one, because the bigger goal is to making sure that we take down, make sure there's no racism, no all of these things that are happening to us. Black lives do indeed matter. They have to matter to us as much as we want them to matter to other people as well.
Robert Littal just took us to church. Okay. And everything you said was well needed. You guys heard where you can find him at. And he is honestly the one that's responding, because he responded to me. And I mean, here he is. So we had some good sports talk. Robert, you are invited back at any point in time. I got more sports questions, but I just kind of, tightened it up with probably like 3 or 4, and you pretty much carried it home, which is excellent. Okay. So you guys, you can find me on all platforms. Well, no, let me take that back. You can find Robert on all platforms. I am only on Facebook, but this episode will be available on all platforms: YouTube, Apple, Spotify. We are on all major platforms. Again, Robert Littell, the chief and editor and founder of Black Sports Online. You guys have a good night.